This was a long time coming. I have been wanting a truck so bad lately, just to be able to do truck things. I really miss my truck that I had previously. I had a Dodge Dakota, and you know, it was kind of, I always had a truck. I've had full-size Chevys, little Nissans. I had a Dodge midsize. They're just too useful to not have, and I've been just dying to get one. So I got this 93 Chevy K1500, I think. It's a four-wheel drive with a 350 and the four-speed automatic, the 4L60E. I'm pretty sure it's a 4L60E. It's in rough shape. This was a work truck that it has been worked, man. Obviously, it's got a plow on it. The actual plow is outside. It works. Like, all the plow stuff works. I tested it out when I went to buy it, but I don't know that I'll actually be keeping that. I'm on the fence about keeping it or not. I may just take it off and sell it. It's rough. It's got, I mean, I can go over the body panels here, but like, there's a dent in this body panel. This door is bashed in. This bedside is probably the best looking one. It doesn't have any giant dents in it or anything like that. It's a little one up here. Not too bad. The bed is in absolutely fantastic shape. It's not rusted out or anything like that. It's got some surface rust on it, sure. It looks rough. There's one crack here in the back that kind of compromises the whole the bed. So I can fix that. I'll just reinforce this thing. It's got a good tailgate on it. That's really good. Actually, that's probably the best. That and the hood are probably the best things on this. There's a couple minor dings in the fenders. There's one there. There's one there. It's got a little toe ball. The guy cut off the hitch. I know there's a lot of rust under here, but most of this is just kind of scaled up, and I'll be able to clean that up and get it looking real nice once I get the bed off and I'm able to address the rust issues. Nothing's rusted through. It just looks, it's scaly, and I'm pretty sure that it's pretty solid for the most part. There's some areas that look a little questionable on camera, but like, they're actually pretty solid, solid enough for what I need. And so that looks pretty good. There's the tank. A lot of this stuff will be cleaned up. Some of this looks really ratty. I'll clean all that out and get a spare under there. The passenger side is in pretty rough shape. This bedside is in real bad shape. There's rust all on here. There's a big giant dent in the bed right there. The door, man, this thing took a massive, I don't know, man, ran into a snowbank or something like that, but it is caved in really good. That door's got to go. And this front fender, it's cracked all along here. Somebody obviously did some Bondo body work on this to try and fix it up. The fenders kind of need to be replaced. Go around the other way. The plow I have it outside. It's a full size plow, and it's got some rust holes in it and everything, but like, I can fix that up. I can weld that up. Everything actually works. Those pistons and everything works. It rotates, it goes up and down, so that's kind of nice. But yeah, I mean, the only thing that's really missing from this thing is a manual transmission, which I will do. Well, that's what I would like to do with this. I want to rebuild the motor and it has like, it's a rebuilt, but it has 100,000 miles on it. Like I said, this is a work truck. It was sold, you know, the guy had it as a work truck, and it was probably sold to him as a work truck. So, no, those 100,000 miles probably weren't that easy on it. The transmission slips a little bit, and it's got this terrible clanking sound when you start it up. It's either something wrong with the torque converter or something. The automatic transmission is slipping, and it needs to be rebuilt. So both the motor and trans got to come out of this. One other thing that I noticed while I just was doing the original kind of, you know, taking a look at the serial numbers on the engine casting and just seeing what I have, verify it's a 350, but you know, it's a 350, and it's yeah, man, it'll be pretty sweet to rebuild that. I'm gonna put a little bit more power in it, I think. The other thing that I noticed too, and I just did notice this, but the front drive shaft, the rear U-joint on the front drive shaft is shot. But yeah, 4x4 Chevy 350. It's automatic, which is slipping. I really just want to take that out and put a manual in, maybe an NV 4500 or something, but we'll see where it goes from here. This will keep me busy for quite a while. First things first, I decided to pull the motor and transmission out here in the garage. It'd just be a lot easier for me to be able to do it, like work on it at nights and stuff. And so I'm not even gonna bother kind of messing around with it anymore. I'll get the codes off the back of the block and everything when I pull it out, and also the transmission, make sure it's a 4L60E, make sure it's a 350 motor. But I gotta take I'm gonna just start in on it right now. I'm gonna get this plow hook off the front of it, so that my engine hoist has a little bit more room to pull the motor. But I know I also have to replace the radiator, so I'm pulling that during this whole process too, because that's gotta go. It just leaks pretty bad. But yeah, start to tear it down. Once I get the motor and transmission out, I'm just gonna push it back out into the driveway with James's help. Hopefully we'll be able to pull it down there in a way that it'll be out of the way and be able to get the other cars in and stuff if we need to work on them. Oh man, this just keeps getting better and better. Look at that nice, milky antifreeze. Probably head gasket. Getting there. Got the front bar out for the plow. Got the radiator, fan shroud, radiator out. So that's looking a little bit more barren in there. But you know, I found this cool thing while I was looking around in here, and it's this thing over here, and I had no idea what it was. So like, it looks like a little fuel pump bulb that you see on like a 2-stroke motor or something. Like, is this where you prime the motor? But no, it is floppy. So I pulled it out and I was like, whoa, look at that. It's a little light bulb. Let me turn this off and show you. There's a little switch on here. Spunk. The light comes on. And then you can say, oh, is my problem down here? It's like your little night light. It's pretty cool. I thought that was pretty cool. Neat, huh? Trying to figure out whether or not I want to disconnect the air compressor and set it aside before I pull the motor, or just pull the lines. Pulling the lines is a little bit easier because, you know, it just is a little less kind of hanging out in the engine bay. But the only reason I decided to do that is because I tested to see if there was pressure, and there was none. I didn't think that there was. We tried the AC. It blew cool, but it just didn't blow cold, and I don't know. It just, I didn't see the actual pump come on at idle or anything like that, so I figured it was just bad. But this may be why it doesn't work, because one side has a seal and the other doesn't. Got milk? Dear Santa, I would like a garage-sized spill pan that automatically cleans up after all the shit I dump on the floor. Thanks. I'm a good boy. Well, the oil looks dark. Well, that came out of the pan anyway. This foam is just from the bubbles from it dripping, but like, you know, the rest of it is dark. So I wonder if it's the head gaskets after all. It's probably fine. I know that the radiator had some leak. Well, it definitely was leaking, and it shares the transmission cooler lines on it as well. So maybe there was some crossover there. I don't know. It still bothers me that the coolant looked milky. So, I don't know. It was a little weird. I took the headers off, and you know, they look normal to me except for cylinder 2 and 4. They're totally white. The rest of them are kind of like just what I would expect. I wonder if these cylinders were just running lean. It's a fuel injection system, so I don't know. I'll take a look at the plugs, but I just thought it was interesting. It's weird. Well, the uninstallation is coming along nicely. I've got all of the electrical connectors disconnected from the engine, and I took the cap off just to kind of make sure that I don't smash it up against the firewall when I lift it out. And I pulled the hoses off the power steering pump. That should be fine. They're kind of just set aside. And then on the AC side, yeah, you already saw that I pulled those. But I got the bell out. I cut out some of the exhaust to just the head pipes here, or I guess the first section, and the headers, just to give myself a little bit more room, so I could finally get down the bell housing dust cover the bottom cover. Look at that. That's what was clanking all the way home. Clunk, 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 clunk. Sounded like shit. James and I really thought it was going to blow up, but yeah, I made it like an hour drive home, so I don't know. It's probably just one of the bolts come loose off of the torque converter, or the flex plate is bent. I haven't taken it out yet, so I don't know. We'll see. James and I think that it needs new shocks.
It might need new shocks.
It's like rocking the boat, man.
It's like the front wheels want to come up off the ground.
So close to coming out. I mean, we even got the chain on there and everything. I had James over here earlier. Help me get this all set up. We got all the bell housing bolts out. The only things holding it in right now are the engine mounts. And I get a fail on my hoist. Look at this thing. I bought this back in the 80s with my dad. Back in the 80s, I was like early 80s, like 85, 86, I don't know. Mid 80s, I suppose. For, well, check this. $40. Anyway, that son of a bitch failed on me. I had James over here ready to help me and everything, and he's like, Dad, I don't think it's gonna lift up past the, get it up past the grill. We're gonna have to take the grill. I'm like, no, that's bullshit. This should go up. And I was like, I pumped it and it wouldn't go any higher. But basically got about halfway, and that's all there was to it. So I looked up online, my favorite place for solutions, and just tried to figure it out. Part of the thing that you do is you empty the thing out and see how much, basically empty the oil out. And that's what I got out of it. Now the dirt, I would ignore the dirt. It came out looked clean. This pan was a little dirty to begin with. It had some power steering fluid or transmission fluid in it already. But that's it. That's all that was in this jack. There's no way that's going to lift it up. It should have a lot more oil in it than that. So time to pick up some oil. Fix this jack. Get my engine hoisted once again. There's some 80s for you. So I saw a couple things online about people fixing these, and they just basically, you just empty them out and then pour new oil in them. And the way that we're filling them, it seemed like they had a lot more oil than normal. One dude was using fork oil, and I have, I don't know. There it is. I have some fork oil, and it's 10 weight, but there's really not that much. So I went to Walmart and picked up some Marvel Mystery Oil, and hopefully this will solve my problem. My dad used to swear by this shit. Let's see if it works. Not the quickest thing in the world, but this is one of my favorite tools. It just is so cool to be able to get vehicles like this, knowing that you can take the motor out, you can service it, you can rebuild it, you can put whatever motor you want in here. Come on now. Oh, it's getting there. It's getting there. Come on now. Look at that angle. It's definitely getting there. This should be able to pull out though, push out like pretty much as long as this piston can go. Pretty much. Look at that. Holy shit, it's way up there, man. It is. Thank you, Marvel Mystery Oil. Let's see if we can make it hit the ceiling. I probably could if the boom was extended. Oh yeah. Whoo doggy. Yeah. That right there will be able to pluck anything. It's nearly at the ceiling. That thing is almost at full tick. And 1 quart plus a tiny little bit of another quart. Marvel Mystery Oil. Thanks, Dad. She's free. Free as a bird. Look at her hanging up there. I don't know. She's still got to come out, but and drain a little bit. At least I'm hitting the pan-ish, mostly. Looks like that little piece of plastic got damaged in the shuffle. Man, I freaking hate these Chevy motor mounts. It's impossible to get the bottom one or the top one off. You have to take the through bolt off and then pull the engine forward. Well, how the F are you supposed to pull the engine forward with this tab on the back of this thing? You can't. You have to lift it up. And then, I don't know. It's just a ridiculous setup. I never liked it. This is the same exact bullshit that I saw on my 79. If not exactly, but similar. I don't know, man. It's rotten the way they did this. Rotten. I hate it. I really hate it. Maybe they should just shroud this a little bit less and make it easier to get this plate off or something. I don't know, man, because that thing is just freaking impossible. With a 4-wheel drive, it's impossible to get to. It's just really impossible. But I'm happy she's away from that piece of shit automatic transmission. I'll let her drain a little bit. Pull her up. Let's see if we can just pull her back a little bit. Land it. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, we got movement. Look at that. She's floating. Make sure that I'm clear here. Oh, that's some terrible video for you. Oh, she's leaking a little bit more. I'll let it leak. Look at that. There's my screwed up transmission, and there's my screwed up engine. It's not screwed up. This thing, I think it's running fine, but I'm not good. That's not good enough for me. I want to do a little something with it, and I've been looking online and maybe doing a carburetor conversion on this thing. I think that would be really cool if I can get away with that. It's doable. You just have to get like a fuel pressure regulator. You got to get a proper intake manifold. You got to get a proper distributor, which it looks like I'm gonna need one anyway now. Fuck that thing. And yeah, and then you could just ditch most of this bullshit and get away with running a carburetor, and that would be nice. So like a HEI ignition coil, pack on top of the distributor, so that just runs the motor, and then the carburetor just be hooked up. As long as the fuel pump comes on, it should be fine. So I think that's the way I want to go. That and a cam and some pistons. Yeah. I just realized I should probably get some of this on video here. It actually coming out. Because, you know, this is where the catastrophic failures happen and the jack just freaking falls apart, or, you know, Marvel Mystery Oil fails me or something. But she's coming out. She's almost there. Look at that. She's going over the top. She's going to be over the top. Is she over the top? No, not yet. That's a big ass oil pan too. Gotta get past that thing. But she's probably good enough. Oh, not quite. Yeah. She's up there though. Oh, look at that. Yeah. That's what you like. That's what they look like when they're not where they're supposed to be. That's funny. Anyway, yeah, it came out pretty clean. And once I got it past that stupid mount, I hate those things. Yeah, take it down. So, you know, I like my garage and everything, but this, I'm not going to be working on this in here. I need to work on it in my workshop. And one of the things I really thought was cool about my house when I bought it, I got this big old giant, it's not double wide exactly, but it's huge, this big wide door here. Fit all kinds of crazy stuff through to get to my workshop, which is, you know, pretty wide open. It's about 1/3 the size of my basement. But as you can see, I got so much shit in here. I need to kind of straighten this out and get it ready to work on, you know, the engine, the transmission, the transfer case, get everything set up. So I already started moving some stuff. There was an old generator sitting here, and so that made a little bit of space. And I'll probably utilize that ping pong table for the automatic transmission teardown, and maybe just kind of like some some flat storage for engine teardown stuff too. I'll have it here in place of this, you know, this field hockey, or this little foosball table that I don't really use except for to, like, you know, just as a work surface. And then get some chairs out, and like these bikes, I don't know, man, I got to get rid of some of them. My ex is going to take a few of them, and I got to straighten that out, like, and just make this you know, a good enough place to work in. But the the problem that I'm facing right now is, like, how do I get that in here? Because if you didn't see, there is like a little 5.5-inch step there. So I'm gonna have to somehow load the engine up on my hoist again, and in a way where I can roll the hoist and everything into the workshop and then land it in there somehow. I'll figure it out. Alright, this looks a little weird, but I think I've got a plan. What I'm gonna do is I'm going to straddle my lift between the garage floor and the workshop floor, and lift up on the motor while it's in the garage, then shove the lift forward until the engine is far enough into the workshop to where we can set it back. I might have to take the stand off while it's in transition, but set it back on the stand, you know, and then just roll it the rest of the way, because both of the floors are flat, right? That floor is flat up here, this floor is flat, and I should be able to just push it without it, you know, getting too hung up on anything. I've got plenty of clearance on the lift. Those legs are out as far as they'll go, and what I figure is I'll just, you know, I'll give it a shot and see if it works. If I don't know. It definitely looks a little shady now. We'll see. All right, this time for sure. this thing flying off on me. Yeah, it's locked. I might not even need to take it off the damn stand. Look at this far forward. We'll see. I'll probably have to take it off the damn stand. Actually, I'm not going to take it off the stand. I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to freaking shove it in there like it was designed to be worked. Ugh. Like this. Because clearly, it was designed to do this exact thing. Keeps the engine from spilling a bunch of shit out anyway. Come on now. Give it a little bit more lift. Clear back there, maybe. Yeah. Oh! The Eagle has landed. Oh, this house. And she's in the workshop. Ladies and gentlemen, she's in the workshop. Started the tear down on this 350. Got a lot of parts out and off. I've got them in the workshop here. There's the intake manifold with that TBI on it. The valve covers, the water pump. Just tearing it down. Just the spark plugs look good because I want to get into it. You know, this is going to be a rebuild. So I wanted to just I'm just going to tear the whole thing apart. The heads are 191s, so they're like the regular TBI heads, which, you know, it's not the greatest, but it is what it is. I might get some new heads for it. I'm not exactly sure yet, but I was happy to see this, and I heard that this was the case, but it's tapped and machined to be able to accept roller rockers, or roller cam, roller cam. And so that's nice. It doesn't have a roller cam, but it looks like it'll be able to at least handle one. So I'm really happy about that. You know, other than that, I want to see what's under there. It's always the mystery, right? This block, when I looked it up online, number said it was, you know, it could be a 2-bolt main or it could be a 4-bolt main. I don't know. So we'll see, because this doesn't really matter too much. I'm not going to be pushing too much out of this motor, but I'm going to be pushing some. It's getting a cam, it's getting some stuff, it's getting a carburetor. It's got the headers. It'll be nice, I think. And the verdict is 4-bolt mains. Look at those beauties right there. So I'm not going to worry about throwing a crank on this. I'm just going to be happy with it. 4-bolt main. Got the heads off. They look pretty good. Decent. Like I said, I'm not sure I want to use these at all, but what do you think, James?
I think it's ready for 700 horsepower.
He's tore down. I gotta wait on some micrometers, and so that I can measure the bores, but and the journals, the rod journals and the crank journals. But other than that, there's just a couple little things left. The crank pulley, got to get that flywheel off of there, man. That thing is just jammed on there. It's all cracked.
You got one bulldog.
It's all cracked.
Yeah.
Like around the edge there. You can see it. That's crazy, man. Look at that. Flywheel. That's what's holding the motor to the transmission. Garbage. So I bought it 1 week ago today. And drove it that one day. And then pulled it straight into the garage and started tearing it apart. I know, it sounds a little crazy, but, you know, it's just a little project truck. I want to get the motor running the way that I want it running before I really start in on doing anything else on this truck. Because I need to be able to test it, you know, test the suspension and make sure that all the shit is working and, you know, the steering and four-wheel drive and all that other stuff, and get the inspection items kind of completed and get all the other stuff around it done. But at least with a motor that I know is working that I want in the truck, as long as that's there, then I can move it in and out of the garage and work on it whenever I want. So that's why I'm really kind of been focusing on the motor first. I'm going to move it around with this initial transmission. I'm not going to take that thing out. I decided that the flex plate was cracked when we got it, and it was banging like hell on the way home. So, you saw a picture of it earlier in the video. It's, you know, it's the entire centerpiece was, I'm surprised we didn't break down on an hour trip home from bringing it home. Anyway, I've got a new flex plate ordered. I got a new torque converter ordered. But the like that, I don't trust that torque converter. It was on that flex plate. I don't really know too much about automatic transmissions, so I'm just replacing both of those items. That shaft seems pretty solid, and I don't doubt that there's something else that's screwed up in that transmission, but I don't care. As long as it moves, and it was moving before with the shitty flywheel or flex plate and a potentially shitty torque converter. I don't know. I'm replacing it anyway, but the two things that I can replace really easily, I'm going to do that. And that brings me to the motor. So that's what I'm doing for the transmission right away. But for the motor, I started cleaning up some of the accessory pulley, one of the accessory pulleys. I think that's the power steering pulley. And then I've got the oil pan there just cleaned up, because I need to put them back on the motor when it's all clean and everything like that. But the motor, I got it to a certain point where I've got everything torn out of it right now except for the crankshaft and camshaft. And the camshaft can pull right out. I mean, I could pull right out if I wanted to. I just haven't done it yet because, you know, I was even starting to clean off some of the heads here, clean off the gasket material. There's still some gasket on this side. This side is clean. And all the pistons looked really good when I took them out. Like you can even see like the machine, the horizontal machine grooves on the side. There's not really much wear on the pistons. It seems like there's a lot of oil on the sides, but I think they look fine to me, kind of. Not too bad anyway. There's a lot of carbon in between the rings there. I don't know if that's blow by, or I noticed one thing on some of the pistons like that. That's how the rings were oriented when I took this one out. So I'm like, why shouldn't you orient the rings so that they're farther apart from each other? And I don't know. That's just how that one was. A couple of them were close like that, you know. Not all of them, but some of them were. And, that was a little shady. But I got some parts cleaner that I was going to throw that in and start to clean up the valves, maybe lap them into them heads. Well, and then all that changed when I found this deal on the internet for a new motor. Basically a new motor. It's all in parts and stuff, but initially it was just for intake manifold and a carburetor and a set of aftermarket heads, and that's turned into a block with pistons and a camshaft, one that's very close to the one I was going to put in this one, as well as the aftermarket heads, the intake manifold, the carburetor, an HEI distributor, timing chain, double roller timing chain, and yeah, I mean, it's basically what I want to build. You know, all the parts to what I want to build with, that I want to build. I have to put a couple other things like fuel pressure regulator and stuff like that to get the actual, carburetor part working. But at this point, the deal is I gotta go take a look at it tomorrow, but if it's good, this thing is it's gonna be pretty good, and it'll save me a ton of money on building this motor, and at the same time, it'll save me a ton of money to build the same kind of, I guess, quality motor with this as a basis, just because of the heads. It's all because of the heads. Those heads are just not the greatest, So, but yeah, it'll have all the stuff I want in it. I'm gonna take a look at the motor tomorrow. I've kind of like held off on pulling the rest of this apart since I've decided on going with that deal, and I'm gonna go look at it tomorrow and hopefully pick it up if it's all legit and everything. And we'll have after I pick it up, I'll have two motors. I'll have this one with most of these parts able to put back in it, and then I'll have the other one that I'm going to assemble to put in mine. I'll have to kind of I might have to steal a couple things like the timing chain cover, the harmonic balancer, pulleys, alternator, all of that accessories, the front accessories, motor mounts, all the valve covers, the oil pump, or the oil filter housing, that sort of stuff, just like some ancillary stuff. But like I could still rebuild this motor pretty much fully with these stock pistons. Like I looked at the cylinder bores, and I only just took a preliminary measurement, but like it looks really good. Like there's hardly any wear on these. I might just throw some honing stones down it and say it's good to go. Throw some new rings on there, clean those pistons up, and throw them back in and call it good to go. I mean, if I just wanted to just maybe throw this in James's Blazer, possibly, he's only got the V6 4.3 liter Vortec in his, but he could have a 350. It'll be in the garage. It'll be in the workshop at some point, but I want to straighten out this other motor first, and that'll be hopefully that'll come through. So right now, like I said, I'm trying to clean up some parts and get them ready to hang on that motor, because if it does work out, I'm going to push this thing out. I don't know if you could see that. I've got that orange strap underneath the transmission, so that we could just push this thing back out of the garage and get the motor pulled in. That whole debacle of a step that I got to go over to get a motor into my workshop. But I'm going to do that with the second one and, build it up in there. And then, but I can push this thing out in the meantime, and should be good to go. So I guess that's the 1 week update on this truck. I've had it for a week, and I'm already buying another motor, even though I have a perfectly good motor. I don't know. I just want more than a stock motor in this truck, and I'd rather do that first than last, so I'm taking care of it first. And that's where I'm at. It's fun stuff. Can't believe I got this deal. Found this motor on Craigslist with a pair of aftermarket heads, an intake manifold, a carburetor, some camshafts, a distributor. I mean, basically, it is a brand new start over on a build. There's the old block that came out of the truck. We're gonna hang on to that for a while. There's the old heads. I don't really want to use those. I want to use these. These are aftermarket heads that came off of a Jasper crate motor. They look real good. It's got good springs on it. They're good for hydraulic flat tappet stuff up to like 600 lift. Which brings me to the cams, which are two. He gave me two. This guy gave me two. Such a nice guy, man. What a great deal I found here. And he's just a really knowledgeable guy that told me this stuff. Anyway, this one right here has like a 490 intake 510 exhaust on the lift. That one right there is good too. It's got like 454 lift intake and exhaust. I don't know what the durations are. I just measured the lift on them. I'd probably have to get a degree wheel on it. But I'm using the big one. I'm going to use this big one in this motor. And check this out, man. It's got high compression pistons in it already. These things, I got to tame it down a little bit. I'm going to look at that. Look at the dome on that shit. I'm going to get some thicker head gaskets so I can bring the compression to like 10.5 to 1 on this motor. Running that big John cam. Well, I guess it's not big and giant. Well, I don't know why I paused there. Anyway, here's the intake manifold and a carburetor. It's an Edelbrock 600 CFM automatic choke. It's a Performer, Edelbrock Performer intake manifold. Beautiful. Dude gave me a bunch of gaskets and a distributor here too. This is the HEI distributor base. It just needs a cap and a coil. I might save that one for the old motor because we're going to convert that to a carburetor as well. Some plans maybe in the future for that. I don't see me going back to TDI on this thing. As a matter of fact, I'm going to sell this whole TDI setup. Gave me a set of chrome valve covers with some Summit stickers. Maybe needs a couple new stickers on there, but I got plenty of those, a lot of those. Gave me a double roller timing chain set. All for $1,000. Is a great start to the build. This is going to be much better than what I was than what I could ever do with those old heads. And the kicker is that I'll have two motors. I'll have this motor and basically a whole spare motor. I mean, this thing has everything. It's pistons, rods. It was all assembled. I checked the clearances on the rod bearings are good. You know, the cylinders are good. You can still see the hone on them. The block itself is off of a GM crate motor, Hencho in Mexico. One of those GM Goodrich crate motors for, you know, like truck motors or whatever, that you could just swap your motor out. Anyway, it's got newer pistons in it. These bores are fresh. That's a 4-inch bore on it, and you can still see the cross hatchings on it. It's insane. It looks so good. It came with lifters. He gave me some push rods. It's everything that I need except some gaskets, and I'll throw in oil. I'm gonna get a new oil pump for it. Like I said, I'm gonna keep that old distributor for the old motor, or for this. I got the distributor they gave me. I'm gonna keep it for that old motor. I'm gonna get a new distributor for this. I'm gonna get a new timing cover for this so that we can keep the old one for that one. Basically, there's just a few parts that I need to get and put on here. Some intake manifold gaskets, valve cover gaskets, that sort of thing, you know, just an oil pan gasket. It's so good, and I can't wait to build this. I gotta order some parts and get this stuff together.